Hello, and welcome to You and Your Young Child, a program devoted to early childhood. And here with me today is Chelsea Meyer. Chelsea,
Yes.
Again, tell me the agency that you represent.
Sure. I work for K-State Research and Extension, Dickinson County. That's here in Abilene, and I'm a county agent over there.
Okay. Today we are going to talk about childhood obesity.
Yes. It's a big issue.
It is a big issue. Tell me how obesity in children is defined.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not defined by a child's weight. It's more defined by their fat percentage. So the way that your doctor will do that is they'll take their height and their weight and their age, and they're able to do that for you. And I know that a lot of parents kind of want someone else to do it for them, but really your physician would be the best person to go to talk to about that.
Okay. And this is what it's also referred to as BMI?
Yes, the BMI. So for instance, for adults like you and I, if you have a BMI of 30 or above, you would be considered obese. And so that takes your height and your weight, and there's a equation that you can plug that into to figure out what your BMI is. Yes.
Okay, very good. So similar to that with children.
Yes.
So a sturdy child is not necessarily obese.
Correct.
And it could be that a child that doesn't necessarily look fat might be.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
That can happen, and then that is hard for maybe a parent to understand. You know, why would my child be considered obese when I think they look healthy?
Okay.
And so that's kind of, it is hard to understand sometimes, but yeah, their weight is not necessarily the depictor as far as a child's health at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has the childhood obesity rate changed over the last 30 years?
It definitely has, and looking kind of back even at 1980, so that would be a little over 30 years ago, childhood obesity has tripled. And that is, yeah, can you believe that? Just thinking, you know, as you look at maybe 1 in 10 children were obese back in 1980. Well, now it's 3 in 10 children. So that's really hard to stomach, and it's hard for a health professional like myself to say, okay, what can we do to help and decrease those risks, because there are a lot of risks that go along with a child being obese.
Yeah, tell us about the negative effects of obesity.
So what can happen is many studies have shown that a child who is obese is more likely to become an overweight or obese adult. Okay. And so that's kind of when it gets to be an issue, because people that are at a higher risk of being obese struggle with just a plethora of other health issues. Those can include heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, typically type 2. For women, they're at higher risk of gestational diabetes. Family history can be an indicator of a child being obese, but there are other things, for instance, like medications. Some children that maybe are on a certain medication can increase their weight gain, and then social networks, economy. There's a lot of things like people who live below the poverty level. You think, well, then they don't have enough food. Well, that's not always the case. Yeah. Sometimes they just don't have the access or the money to purchase healthier foods. So that would kind of be a bigger issue. Lifestyle habits is really the biggest one. Depending upon how they live their life, they're active, they're eating, you know, 3 meals a day, fruits and vegetables. Those are the bigger kind of issues. But then there are also 3 medical problems, which I wanted to mention because those can happen, especially for specific people with like hypothyroidism. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Yeah. But hypothyroidism means that you have like a lower metabolism, that your thyroid doesn't function as it should. Second is Prader-Willi syndrome. It's another disease that someone can be born with. And then lastly, polycystic ovary syndrome. Yes. Another thing you can't really avoid. It can just be maybe in your genetic line, and you can't help that. So those are the higher risks of people being overweight or obese. But like I said, a child that is obese will be most likely an obese adult. And so that's why we want to be really proactive in children's lives, getting them more active, educating them and their parents.
Okay, so what can parents do to help prevent childhood obesity?
This is kind of a loaded question because you can say, well, a child's parent could, purchase healthy foods, be active with their child, but there's things that you can do prior. For instance, a mother can really take care of herself before she has that baby. So what she eats and how she takes care of that herself while she's pregnant will affect that child, and there's been a lot of studies in recent years that's shown that. Second would be, once that baby is born, that they should try to exclusively breastfeed for up to 6 months. Now, that's just shown to give a host of benefits for a child as well as the mother. However, some mothers just can't breastfeed for whatever reason. And so it is really important to talk to your doctor about getting an appropriate formula for that child. And then after 6 months to 1 year of age, introduce complementary foods into their diet.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. And that's good for baby, but there anything else as a child gets older?
Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely some things that can help. For instance, I have a little tool here to look at. This is MyPlate, and this is the kind of new pyramid that a lot of us grew up learning about.
Yeah, the pyramid.
Yes, and so the food pyramid was around for many years, and in the last probably 10 years, this MyPlate has been developed, and this is just really helpful. I love that it's a little bit more applicable. We don't eat off of a pyramid, triangular shaped thing, so the plate kind of gives us an idea of, this is a round plate. Half of our food should be fruits and vegetables. Then grains, we should eat not quite a fourth of our plate, or a little over a fourth, sorry. And then we should always turn to lean proteins. And then lastly, our dairy we kind of have up here, and we've got
kind of a place to put the cup, huh?
Right, like a cup of milk or yogurt or something along those lines.
Or
yes.
Cubes of cheese.
Yes.
Or something of that nature up in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
There are some places you can go to learn more about MyPlate.
Okay.
One would be www.eatright.org.
Okay.
If you maybe don't have internet or don't want to try to find that out yourself, you're definitely welcome to visit our office.
Okay.
And get more information there from me.
Yes, and you have other resources too at your office on on what to feed children and
yeah, we've got a lot of resources.
A lot of resources down there.
Definitely.
So again, tell us where your office is located.
Sure, we're at 712 South Buckeye here in Abilene. And our phone number over there is 263-2001.
Okay. Great, lots of good information. I love the plate. I think that would be a great resource. You wouldn't have to use the plate every time. I mean, it's hard to put a sandwich on there, but
right. But it's fun for a child to use, I think, once or twice.
Yeah, well, at least to start getting an idea of exactly how much. And what age child would you recommend that plate for?
Well, it kind of depends, because obviously as a child grows, they're going to need more macronutrients. So I think it's really important to listen to your child. Okay. They will tell you when they are hungry.
And when they're full.
Children are a little bit better about listening to their bodies than adults are. For instance, if we have a big plate of food, we'll continue to eat until it's gone a lot of times, whereas a child will stop when they are full. So I think it's important for them to have the options of these 5 food groups, but also kind of listen to their needs. I would say, even as early as 2 years, maybe when they start eating complementary foods solely, or if you're just breastfeeding here and there, I think that it's a good opportunity. Educate early, and then you don't have to do it later.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila.